Hello, welcome to Quizzy Monday, and we've got lots to pack in tonight, so I'm not going to talk too much. We have got, spoiler alert, the new Brain of Britain. So if you don't want to know who that is, suggest you probably tune in again in about 20 minutes or so. So we're going to be talking to that person. I'll leave the gender mysterious for now. Then we've got some guests from Only Connect, and then we should also have at least one guest from University Challenge. Joining me as ever will be Lewis to co-pilot the show. Before we get going, a few of the parish notices. World Quiz Awards are open for nominations, so go now to tinyurl.com/WQA23noms. The link will be all over our social media if you want to try and find it. Put in nominations. You've got one more week to go to nominate Quizzer of the World Quizzer of the Year, World Team of the Year, Organisation of the Year, Competition of the Year, Breakthrough Quizzer, all of these great awards. So go in and do your nominations. It is nearly Christmas. We are still flogging this stuff in our shop. I bought one. So, it can't be that bad. So, yeah, go to our shop and buy that. There are all sorts of other quiz merchandise there as well to buy. Now, we have our What is Question competition. Last week, the answer in either question was Edinburgh. This question from Robert Crawley was the winner. Love this one. Famously, there are only 4 capital cities of independent nations in the world whose names begin with unique first letters, with those letters being QUIZ. But in 2014, which city was 383,937 votes away from ruining this chestnut, as it would have become the 5th such capital? Brilliant question there, Robert. Well done. This week's answer to the question is 5. We've had 43 questions, and you can now vote on the long list at tinyurl.com/WITQ5. Voting is open till Wednesday. We'll release the shortlist to find a winner on Wednesday evening. What else? Lunchtime quiz time every day, Facebook and Twitter. We ask a question. This is today's one. And later on in the day, we release some additional information, interesting information to illuminate that question. Right. Enough of me talking. Let us bring on now, again, spoiler alert. Let us bring on Lewis. That's not the spoiler.
Spoilers, it's me.
Let us bring on the new Brain of Britain champion, Dan Adler. Good evening, Dan.
Hello. Can I just say that if I'm this country's brain, we're in much more trouble than we thought.
Can't get much worse, can it?
I mean, it's
broken
it's a sign
Britain.
of the times, Dan. It's a sign of the times, but well done anyway. Brilliant to have you on. Brilliant to have you back. Last seen playing on Only Connect when you were on this show. So no stranger to Quizzy Monday. In the chat, we've got Catherine and Steve saying hi. Gerard, oh, never mind. I'll just enjoy the Brain of Britain questions while knowing who wins. Hey, Claire, just treated myself to an All Things Quiz hoodie. Well done, Claire. Let get us a picture of you wearing that. That'd be great. Yes. So, Dan, Brain of Britain. Now, you already had one title under your belt, one Radio 4 title, Counterpoint, just a few years ago. So was Brain of Britain the natural next thing to go for you?
Well, I had to go in 2018. That was the year Clive Dunning won. And I nearly got through to the final. I was one round away from going through to the final, but Jack Bennett overtook me. But I wouldn't have won the final anyway against Clive Dunning. When I applied this time, they said reason for applying. I said my Counterpoint trophy is lonely. So it's not anymore.
And indeed, you posted a picture on social media of your 2 silver salvers separated by a nice vase, as Dave Lee put it in the comments.
Yeah. I did have a look actually on the evening in the green room afterwards. There are 3 people who've won both before.
Okay.
And one of those has also won Mastermind. So he's the only person who've won all 3.
Oh, okay. So who are we thinking about? This is a quiz question. I can't. It's the Counterpoint one that trips me up. Because I can think of Brain of Britain and Mastermind.
There may be more, but the record on Counterpoint winners isn't complete on Wikipedia. Okay. I did notice that it took 30 seconds for someone to update the Brain of Britain Wikipedia page. It wasn't me.
Nice. There's always somebody. Go on, tell us who the other people are.
There's a chap called Ian Sutton.
Okay.
I can't remember, something Eccleston or something. I can't remember.
Oh, Jim Eccleston.
Eccleston. A long time ago now.
Merseyside quizzer, very, very good.
Yeah, and the one who's won the Triple Crown is Jeff Thomas.
Of course, Jeff Thomas from the Northwest. Yes, former university lecturer. But now it's you. You're the incumbent. You take over from the wonderful Sarah Trevathan, who won last year.
Yeah, we're having a meeting in which she hands over her duties and briefs what they are.
Indeed.
I hope Rishi Sunak muttering something about letters for subs or something. I don't
know. When you went back in to the show, having done it before a few years back, what were your aspirations? Was this like, okay, first time is reconnaissance, I'm going in this to win it now?
Well, I never really go in to win it. In fact, normally when I go into something like a heat, my intention is not to come last.
Right.
As long as I don't come last, I'm happy. And I think you never know. It's always the luck of the draw. You don't know what questions are coming up. You don't know what order they're going to come up in. The semi-final went for a three. I was well ahead going into the final round, and it ended up going for a three-way tiebreak. And you just realise that every single point is crucial, and you have to go for every single point.
Yeah.
There are always those questions, like the music one today, where everyone has a go with a guess. And they all get it wrong, or someone gets it right, and so on. But sometimes that other people are guessing, and you're buzzing, and you know it. So, Doomsday Clock today was one that I knew, but two other people had to have a go before my buzzer was activated.
Because there's no penalty, is there? There's no penalty for buzzing in and getting it wrong, so you might as well just try and get in to have a go. Yeah, because Eleanor Ayres, one of your finalists, she was telling me earlier, she was saying, there are a couple of questions where I tried to buzz in and Dan beat me to it. He got a couple of points. Now, if he hadn't got those and I'd have got them instead, you'd still have won, but it would have been closer. But that's the weird game mechanics with Brain of Britain, isn't it? The fact that there's this, you have to wait until the question to the original person is dead before there's a buzzer race. It's not like a normal buzzer quiz.
If I knew it, I was buzzing as soon as the person spoke. Even if they because then if they got it wrong, I was there. That was my plan. There is a show coming up with a buzzer, and when it's shown, I can come back and tell you how to beat the buzzer. I won't tell you what it is yet.
Would this be another show where you're not allowed to buzz until a certain point?
It might well be, but we'll come to that another day.
Okay.
If it airs at this point.
Yeah.
We don't want to give any spoilers.
One of the things I will say about Brain of Britain is, it's a Radio 4 quiz to appeal to a Radio 4 audience. And I've listened to Radio 4 for over 40 years now, so it's right up my alley. Although someone did say, you don't get any questions on computer games. So the first question I had in the heat was on a computer game, which I knew. But it's very much to that sort of demographic, and it really suits me down to the ground.
Yeah, the curriculum has changed. It has broadened over time, but Brain of Britain still has its own character. Round one, you got off to a very good start. You nearly got 5 points, and the bonus, you were foiled by that dratted Andrew Lloyd Webber's coronation guff. But you must be pleased to get off, get your first few points on your belt.
We all had 4 points.
Yeah.
At the end of it. It was very, very. I was really. Listening to it again, I was on the edge of my seat, and I knew what had happened. So.
Yeah, it was tight, and even after round two, George was on 5. George, brilliant quizzer, QLR quizzer, and yourself, Colin, Eleanor, were on 6. That round though had one of the most bizarre pieces of music that must have appeared on any quiz show. For people who haven't heard it, go and spoil it. Tell them what it was about.
It is a version of Right Said Fred, not I'm Too Sexy, but the Bernard Cribbins song by a British aristocrat and an American rights activist. And we all had a guess. I didn't even have a guess. I didn't know where to start. And it turned out, and it was from a charity record made in the 1990s. There was a trend in the 90s of charity compilations where various artists did a Cole Porter song for AIDS or something like that. And this was one of those records which I don't remember at all, and I bought a lot of them. And it turned out to be by Jessica Mitford. It's always a bloody Mitford, isn't it? And Maya Angelou.
It was just bizarre.
And none of us got either of them. And in fact, I thinking about it, the question asking for both of them was a bit much. I think if they'd asked for one of them, we might have stood a chance. But
it was tough. I think you couldn't really recognise the voices based on that. It was up there with that Arthur Mullard. You're the one that I want. It was that kind of.
I can remember that on top of the Pops. I wouldn't reminded that.
So I mean that one jumped out at me. But still tight after round 2. Then you have to get interrupted for Sarah's questions.
Which I'm annoyed about, because the first one, I thought maybe it's the Isles of Scilly, and I didn't say it. And another thing, just say it. Just say what's in your head. Well, we all knew more. I knew the second one, and so I think Colin did as well.
Yeah. I mean, do you find that having that break in the middle of the game, does that affect you in any way? I guess if you got momentum, and it might do. No.
We had a very good one in the semi-final, because we had one which was, when did the Spanish Inquisition end? And I think it was Dave Cowan guessed the exact right year. And then the second one was about a prop from a British sitcom that was sold for £15,000 in an auction house in Bristol, and I knew it from that because I'd written a buzzer quiz question on it a few months ago, so I knew exactly what it was. Do you want me to say what it was?
Go on, say what it was.
Von Klont's Fallen Madonna with the big boobies. Hello. So I did get to say big boobies on Radio 4. So that
Live in the dream. Live in the dream. Now, you got into a lead on your own after the end of round 3. There was a couple of questions in the show. There was one where it was like some term related to winter, and it turned into guess a month. And then there was another one about the number of phone calls made from phone booths to the nearest million, which was just guess the number. I was a little unsatisfied by those, for it being the grand final of Brain of Britain to come down to a guessing game. Is that? I mean, how do you feel having been there?
It's only a guessing game if you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a question in the semi-final, which was the first line of a novel, and they said it was an Agatha Christie novel, and that could have been everyone guess an Agatha Christie novel. But the first words were Lynette Ridgway, so I knew exactly what it was and buzzed in when I can't remember who got it wrong, and buzzed in and picked up the point for that. So I mean, I think the phone question is a bit guess a number. The month one, it's possible that someone would have known that. So I'm not too, but there are always those questions where everyone has a guess, and the last person is obviously an advantage because there's fewer options.
There are a couple of moments which were quite funny. One related to the aforementioned Mitford and Angelou duet with some of the guesses of who it may or may not have been. The other one was there was this musical term melisma, to which Colin brilliantly came out and said, it's yodeling, a form of music used in R&B now, or a term in music used in R&B. But he said yodeling. I thought that was special. But again, that's the sort of situation where actually you're not penalised for it. Why not go for it?
Go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the other something else? There was something that went through my head just then, and it's gone. I'm like a seed.
Well, you certainly retain some information, Dan. Enough to win. At the end of the day, go on.
What I will say is that there was an article by Rod Liddell in the Sunday Times where he said he'd been watching Tipping Point and nobody seemed to know the answer to anything, and this obviously meant that the IQ level of the country was dropping. And one of the comments that someone made about it was something I thought is really good, and it's from Paul Sinner. And he says, it's not about intelligence. It's a party trick. You can pick stuff up, remember it, and recall it. And that's all it is. And it's not intelligence. And it's funny how, and I think it's because it's one of the reasons it's a hobby that is attractive to people who are on the spectrum, because it's about a subset of questions for which there are right answers and wrong answers. And there's nothing in the middle. So it's, what is the capital of Peru? Has a right answer. What is love is one of those things where, philosophers... Well, philosophers have spent literally millennia trying to work out what it is. Really intelligent people, and there's still a difference of opinion. And I think that's it. It's not about intelligence. It's something completely different.
I think the intelligence comes in, if it comes in anywhere, in knowing what to learn for particular competitions, and having that ability to kind of spot what is going to give you value and what isn't going to give you value. But being able to recall stuff is, as you say, that's just almost a mechanical process.
Well, you see, because I do the thing, when you're a kid and you've got exams and you do a revision timetable and you never stick to it. And I did something similar for this. I didn't do any work for it. I had lists of things that would be nice to know. I think what it is more rather than intelligence, I think it's curiosity. It's about, are you motivated enough, for example, to go and read a book about the French Revolution, if it's something you don't really know about, and then you pick stuff up from that, And I think that's kind of where you are more than intelligence. It's more about curiosity. Are you curious about things?
Yeah. I think so, and that's how you end up learning about stuff you otherwise wouldn't have even bothered with.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that then gets you Brain of Britain titles, because you have spread your wings beyond your comfort.
And also, I find that a lot of questions, certainly in quizzes, league quizzes and so on, a lot of questions that are filed under history are things that I can remember on the news.
Well, that's the benefit of getting old, isn't it, Dan? It's yes, things that you remember first time round, people are now taught. It's
I don't know where I was when Kennedy was shot, but I was somewhere.
It's a brilliant achievement winning Brain of Britain, on top of winning Counterpoint. What else, apart from the show that we shall not mention, what else have you got in your sights? Are you looking at Mastermind for that trio?
Yeah, I suppose another tilt at Mastermind. I'd quite like to have a get beat the Chasers, because I think that's kind of and it's not really about the money. I don't find, my wife keeps saying, why don't you do something and earn a bit of money? But it's not something that's really pushing me. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire looks to be an enormous great faff, frankly.
I'd like to find out whether that was the case or not, to be honest, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I do. There is one thing that I'd really like to do, but I'm not going to say it because it's not. Then it won't happen. And just write a bit more. I think I want to. I'm kind of semi-retired now, so write more quizzes and also write about quizzing. I've got a Substack, an embryonic Substack.
Okay.
I might go live with just after.
Interesting. Well, we'd definitely be interested in talking to you about that.
Quizzical Graffiti, it's called.
Oh, there you go. If it's not a quiz team name, then that's a good name for Substack.
Well, I've got the name.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming on, Dan. I think you might be sticking around. You're certainly.
I think I shall leave you to it, because I think you're going to be quite crowded otherwise.
Okie dokie. Well, it's brilliant having you on. Congratulations once more.
Thank you.
We look forward to chatting when that other thing happens.
Yes.
Until then.
I'll just after Christmas, apparently.
Sorry? Just after Christmas?
After Christmas, yeah.
We look forward to seeing that.
Okay.
Brilliant. We're going to play a quick video. Cheers, Dan, and then we will be back to talk Only Connect. Huge thanks to our community of All Things Quiz members. Your support helps us to keep this channel going. It pays for essential running costs. Now, if you want to become a member of All Things Quiz, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz. And from £3 a month, you not only get to support the work of this channel, but there are a range of member benefits available, including our monthly quiz. Hope to see you soon. And another way to support us is to be pressing that little like button on your YouTube, and if you're not subscribed, to be subscribing to us. All of that helps other people like you who like quizzing to find us. Lewis, welcome on.
Thank you.
Good to see you. How's the week been for you?
Tiring life. Tiring, but hey, here I am. It's fine. We're ready to go.
We are ready to go, and we have two victorious Only Connect players. We've got Ben and we've got Charlotte. Evening, both.
Hello.
Hello.
Charlotte, you got your tree up as well. Oh, that's good. It's eager.
The only reason I agreed to do it.
Oh, well, if you can't show off your tree, then what's the point of it? Lewis, we had an absolutely fantastic Only Connect match tonight.
Another nail biter.
Another nail biter. Talk us through it, or in the company of Charlotte and Ben, of course.
Guys, a lot of X's again tonight. I just can't. There's so many questions not being answered. It's been crazy lately. It's been crazy. I don't know how it's been happening, but it was an incredible episode. I thought it was a fantastic episode. Obviously, went around down to the wire. I want to start at the end because I can't even imagine, particularly the two of you here. And obviously, Charlotte, you had that neg, and then to go into that tiebreaker. How did that feel? How did it feel rewatching that?
Awful.
Yeah.
Really.
Doesn't get any easier.
No, I don't remember the episode having that many kind of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
I didn't even, watching it tonight, I didn't even get the first three. I just had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember them being in the show, anything. And then, watching the missing vowels, knowing what was going to happen, and just when it came up, I just oh God. No. I saw what I knew I knew both ends of it, and I thought my brain will do the middle bit when I press the button, and I pressed the button and my brain just went do. Oh no. It was horrible. It was really awful, and it was I just felt dreadful that when we then had obviously that was the point that we then had to go into a
shouldn't feel awful. It's all I think you've got to go for it, right? Nearly all the time. You knew it was going to be a tight game. You went for it. It didn't work out that one time, but then it did work out because you won. Ben came to the rescue with that tiebreaker. How did that go for you, Ben?
It's weird. It's going to sound like hyperbolic, but it was one of the most intense experiences of my life. It sounds really weird. It's just a TV quiz show with no money or anything at stake, but somehow, it's a really intense experience generally being in the studio, answering the questions. And then for it to come down to that, it's really hard. It sounds ridiculous, but it's really hard to describe. Just intense is the only word I can come up with. It wasn't necessarily stress but it was just a huge, intense feeling. And it had taken a few minutes. I mean, probably very few people who've been involved in tie breaks, but they don't just have the question ready to go. They have to reset the computer, and there was a few other things going on, and so there was probably 10 minutes between being told it was a tie and actually happening.
They're just double checking everything was as it should be.
Exactly.
Well, there was also I cried. I'd gone down on the Thursday night, so I'd slept in the hotel Thursday night, Friday night. I don't sleep well away from home. I was away from my kids, and in my head, we'd been talking a lot about if we win this match, we get to play the maximum possible games, because you get the semi, you get the third place playoff or the final. So you're like, if we just get through this one, we get to do this twice more. And it was so much fun doing each show up to this one. It had just been such an enjoyable experience. You didn't want it to end, but the other part of me thought, I'm exhausted. I really want to go home. I want to be in my own bed. I want to see my family. And then to get to the end of it, have lost that point and then go, I still don't have an answer right now. And it was just like my brain imploded. And they said, oh, we're checking everything. And I could feel my, like, you know, when your bottom lip goes, like you're about 3 years old. So, yes, I had to go off to the side and have my makeup redone, and everyone was very kind. But yeah, I felt even worse because I was like, now I've wasted everyone's time. And it was just, yeah. And I'm not a big crier either. I normally cry out of complete frustration. But at that point, I was just like, I'm just so tired. I want to know what's happening tonight.
But that's the accumulation of everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's accumulation of having had your adrenaline up, being in the game, of being tired, of feeling like, you know, oh no, it might be me that's kind of let everybody down.
Yeah.
It's all of that together in a really heightened situation. Totally understandable. Steve has put something in the comments. Might have felt terrible being Charlotte, and it clearly did, but it made for great TV. So those are the sacrifices, Charlotte, you make to make great TV.
And you know, and so it took like 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, it's probably 10, maybe 15 minutes. And I think, as I remember, I just sat there, like, and Charlotte was off, sort of, you know, being consoled and upset and makeup, and I just sat there and basically looked at the desk because I just couldn't get out of I just couldn't break that sort of concentration and the intensity of it, and just stayed there. And then I couldn't really speak afterwards. So, you know, I remember sort of getting up and obviously stay well done, and I just couldn't really talk until I went to the dressing room and I cried a bit, not because of, you know, it was just the release of that level of intense pressure, that level of intensity. It wasn't about, you know, happiness or sadness or anything else. Just such a level of intensity that then when that feel is broken, it just come out. It was really weird. It was such a strange experience.
Wow, fascinating. Yeah, I mean, it completely makes sense. And I'm sorry it was hard, but it was fantastic TV.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
It was hard and brilliant, and that's the thing. It was awful. It was brilliant. And that's why I think intense is the sort of the word that I just coming back to.
Concentrated into it.
Yeah, just on that one moment. It was amazing.
Well, let's peel away into less intense moments of the show. The rest of it, there was many other questions. Round one, I think it started with you guys picking up a point, and actually I think there was back-to-back pickups with you getting the one on the reserve positions in the legislature, which I thought was a nice little question. One of those ones, I think, Ben, you just sort of, you worked the last clue, you worked backwards from there.
Yeah, I think I was kind of in the ballpark of these people are obviously appointed, and then as soon as I saw, you know, 26 bishops, I'm like, well, obviously, you know, say obviously, that sounds really cool. Because there are lots of others that people will be saying, obviously, that we didn't get. But, you know, to me, then I was just thinking, well, that's House of Lords. And then you kind of backfill the rest, and it kind of makes sense that, you know, well, they sound plausible that they would be in legislatures. So, nice one to pick up.
It was nice. And then obviously, we had a couple questions go dead. The musicals one, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I, you know, you're introduced with a big musicals fact, Ben.
Music,
not
musicals. I don't really like.
They are important.
I don't really like musicals. I can't be dealing with, you know, urchins in the street suddenly knowing a song and dance routine and all that kind of nonsense. It's just not my thing.
That's fine.
I know loads of people love them. That's great. They're
not for you.
Enjoy them. I like the NFL, and loads of people find that incredibly boring. But I spend every Sunday night watching it. So I'm not saying musicals are bad. They're just not my thing. So it felt like we were sort of close on that. And also that Beatles fact is not entirely true. What I said was most Beatles songs within 2 seconds. Like there'd be someone out there going, "Oh, you can't tell me this one because it's got 3 seconds of silence at the start." But so they slightly, you can see me on there sort of giving a bit of side. I was like, really? I didn't actually say that. But most Beatles songs from.
So then with that in mind, would you have liked to have heard Octopus's Garden in that music question that you had?
Yeah, maybe. That was really frustrating. So that's watching this back, like there's so many questions that as soon as we're told what it is, you go, oh, of course. And so I thought it was a brilliant set of questions because there were so many that, you know, you could get, but they just were, I thought, quite hard in the, in the moment, or whatever the pressure, whatever it was that we didn't quite get them. So the singing drummers, as soon as you realize it's singing drum, you're like, it couldn't be anything else, right? It's just obvious. But and that, I think, was one of those where it's like the leap up to the quarterfinals, because you've kind of gone from, I don't know, there was, I think our last one wasn't quite as straightforward as there's a connection in the title or or the name of the artist, whereas this is a more conceptual question, which it's quite hard to shift your brain up to that stuff. It was for me anyway.
I think you're right, and there was a lot of questions, particularly in round 2, where it felt like answer 4
but
wasn't like
looking back, that's
perfect resolution. It felt like there was a lot of questions where the fourth clue was a hard piece of general knowledge, and you teams just didn't happen to have it on that one. But in round 1, the same questions would have ended with we've worked out what the connection is, what the sequence is, so the answer is going to be this most obvious clue. It just you're right. I think that level really did step up. Good answer from the dead man's pictures, though. I thought that was very good.
I think Charlotte had got the dead man's fingers like straight away.
Yeah, that was
pretty much.
Oh, I think that might have been Alice. I thought because it looked like stone to me, I couldn't quite recognise it. But yeah, once the third one, once you said dead man's hands, it all made sense. And I think Alice said about the fingers, and then obviously the dead man's pedal or switch or whatever it was.
It was a really good answer. It felt really nicely. So you were 4-3 behind at the end of round 1. But we've not spoken about the most important thing that probably happened in round 1, and that was the pros and cons question that the gunners had, where pretty much the exact thing they said straight away was you can add pro and con to get those deviations, but they took the extra clue, and maybe that's where the game was lost for them. Were you watching that and thinking, what if they took it? How would the game look then?
No, I speaking from my point of view, it's anything could have happened. So that thing might happen, but then there's that many other things that could happen all the way through it. That like you might not then buzz in.
Of course.
You might not do this or you might not do that if they're that far ahead, or there was a question where I knew it and then I could see it and I was trying to get to the last answer, and perhaps you'd have, instead of just sort of thrown something out, instead of working it out, you just spent a little bit more time working it out. If you end up a bit further behind, it's just there's too many. I don't think
little variables
necessarily work.
I think you're right. The brain works differently at different points, right? And the pressures that you're under at different game states can massively change it. We'll go ahead.
Yeah, I was put pro con was a bloody good spot on one clue. I think that was Eleanor, wasn't it, from the other team? Just superb.
So pretty much straight away, it was
fantastic. And I agree with Charlotte that you can't always say, well, if they got this, then we, because there's so many different things you say. Well, we could have got that more; they could have got it for more, But it is, on watching it back, it was a bit of a relief when they didn't.
Take the extra one. Take the extra one.
Yeah, it was a brilliant spot.
It was really good, and then you went into a round 2, and I think I've got it as 5 of the 6 questions went dead in this round 2, which is unusual for sure. Gunners started off with that. I thought it was a lovely picture sequence of starting with Liverpool's Andy Robertson and going down to Linda Robson. They got 2 points on that. What were when those questions were dead, when nothing was scored on any of your questions? Were you starting to worry, particularly as you'd gone in already behind?
Yeah, I think so. To be honest, I'd forgotten. We couldn't actually remember the score of this one. Obviously, we knew it went to a tiebreak.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember the score. I'd forgotten how badly we did on the first 2 rounds.
In our matches, Ben was very good at knowing what our score was and what the possible points were left and where we were and going into the wall and things like that. That would really kind of help me understand where we were, because as soon as a question happens and the answer's given, and that bit's done, it's like my brain goes, thanks, and it just bins it, and I have no idea. So we'd go into the wall. It would be, I think, have we done the wall first time every time? So we've always gone second, is that right? So we'd go straight into the wall. Then after the wall, Ben would be sort of saying, right, and then we've scored this. If they scored that, then this is what missing vowels is done.
Yeah.
By the time we'd walk back in to do the missing vowels, I think, I still don't know what the score is. And then you'd say it, and then it would go straight out my head again. So at every single point, I'm sure, even watching them, as soon as the scores go up and go off again, I'm like, oh, I don't know where we were. So, and we sort of text about tonight's show earlier, and I was talking about questions, and I was like, oh, I think this one's coming up. And then I sat and watched the whole show, and I was like, oh, wasn't on. I don't know if it's already happened or not. I've got no idea. So, and it's really weird watching it back. And I thought, I didn't realise that we just not got anything in the second. We get no points in the second round.
Yeah, no points. You stayed the same throughout. But yeah, I think there's a good thing about what you're saying there, though. Like sometimes it is just good to live in the moment with it. And like I've played so many quizzes where I've been with someone who's like with a piece of pen and paper writing out the score the whole time. I was like, how can you be concentrating on that rather than like thinking about what the question is constantly?
I want to know that. It's just I can't retain the information. It just goes, yeah. It's not me being very. I am not a calm Zen person that is like I'm just living in the moment. It's just my brain going, no, that's not about food. It doesn't need to be retained.
Lovely.
Understandable. Were there any particular questions, Gareth? Is there anything you liked? Those dead questions? Anything you liked there?
I mean, I did like Stanley's comment on the shared names between prime ministers and monarchs. Just heard him in the background going, "That's hard." I like that because that's what I was thinking about that question.
Yeah, with the consecutive monarchs, particularly, that it really sent you down the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's hard. Summed that one up. That's dull. Summed up sea states.
Easily the worst question of the whole.
That was. I mean, I'm not saying it's unfair because it's something you might know, but it was one of those. I mean, we knew what the sequence was. We just had no idea what the next one might be. I'm sure someone will, and that's fine.
I did like the repeated letters, the George Orwell, Mamma Mia, etc. Because again, that's a classic only connect that once
you got your head in your hands.
Because it's so frustrating. Because I knew what it was, and I was explaining it to Ben. And as I was explaining it, and I was going, look, you can see there's da-da-da, and then there's Mamma Mia, Mama. And then I got to the next one, and I have no idea what happened because we should have had that for a point because I knew it. I could see it from the first two. And then when it came over, it's like I tried to explain it a bit more. And it's like my brain imploded because the first bit of information, the bit that made sense and was the answer, just disappeared. And I was like, oh, so you just need one letter then?
Because I didn't know what you were. Obviously, the fact that I said, "Well, go on, answer," because I hadn't twigged what it was. It was one of those really frustrating. And I think you were probably just thinking, well, it's just someone with one letter that doesn't repeat at the start of their name, as opposed to needing the sort of there is a repetition. Because actually, I mean, it's one of those where probably there's loads of people at home looking at it, going, "Well, why didn't you get that?" But obviously, both teams didn't get it, and it was just. Yeah, it just wasn't there.
I think the key to it, and before we move on and look at the walls, key to it is the fact they were all capitalized, which if it had been like George Orwell's name, it would have been a capital G, and then the whole thing wouldn't have worked because it wouldn't have been repeating. But it's spotting that in the studio, which Charlotte did, and then it's keeping it in your mind when you have to actually then bring it out, which is the tricky thing when all of a sudden other things can sideswipe you and put you off and you can forget things. So understand. But what didn't put you off, he says, segue. Your wall was one of the best, and I'm not sure that the word is right, one of the best solvings of a wall that we've seen this series. It was just...
I think maybe of all time. I think it was... it was a difficult wall.
We'll take that.
Yeah, I think it was... You just flew at it. It was really impressive with like a really... difficult, a change a letter word one is much harder than a hidden word one, or even sometimes an anagram, because obviously there's so many options with it. But you saw that, third, but reasonably instantly. And then the Life on Mars one, Ben, was just absolutely inspired. How did it feel for you guys? And particularly after a harder second round, did you feel a bit more like you were back on the horse after solving it so quickly as well as getting on 10 points?
I could repeat the Big Bang Theory joke about back on the horse and an auditory misunderstanding of what you said, but I won't do it here. Family show. I think we probably did get a bit of confidence back from that because it does feel good when you rattle through one like that. I went really sad. I went back and timed it. It was 44 seconds, which I think the one in our first show we'd done, obviously easier first round. I think we'd done on about like 38 or something. So yeah, it just fell into place. Like Alice spotted the sugars, then we sort of pulled those together. And then what was the next one? I've forgotten what the second one was. The wild thing, which I think Charlotte had spotted. And then, Alice brilliantly came up with the presidents, which spotted 3 of those and then pulled those. And then, Life on Mars, which I think a message Alice and Charlotte earlier, I think might be one of my favorite sort of gets from the whole series, because it just kind of came to me. And it's one of those things you don't necessarily think there's going to be something as kind of, not obscure, but as sort of obtuse as song lyrics.
Yeah, it's just that extra level of abstraction, right? It's it needs you to know it, but also to pick up those phrases. And I thought you were just so on it. It was really, really fantastic. How would you have done it? Obviously, this is the first time you'd have seen the war that the Gunners had. Would you have had similar luck with that? Are you as big as a fan of American Pie as you are Life on Mars?
I think we'd have done it even quicker. No, I thought it was hard. I'd probably got the American Pie.
I thought it was a bit harder, but
I think the American Pie
on your own,
would have come in.
When you're watching on your own, you don't have 2 other people throwing in ideas that your brain then just goes, oh, yeah, that I can spot that other thing. And, we found that playing the Connections Online Quiz League, where you do just start throwing out random things and find things that stick.
Yeah, definitely.
So, if you solve a wall on your own,
I thought the change of
others.
Yeah, sorry, Charlotte. I thought the first letter of to get a film was harder than the president's. Sort of
probably just, but also maybe She Departed was maybe more of a giveaway clue, because what is that? Yeah, exactly. It's not really anything.
What else? Well, I was looking at Shed at the start of it, thinking, is it?
Yeah, same. That's what I was doing.
Something like that.
Yeah. But it was a nice. I thought it was a lovely. I think we've spoken about it before, Gareth. I always like it when the sort of their matching walls. Similar themes across the two. It feels good for you guys because it's they're balanced, right? The knowledge bases are going to be the same across the two teams. It feels quite fair that they have the same things, and I thought those were really, really nicely done. That took you to after the Gunners only sort of raced through their last bit and only got found 2 and then got 4 other connections. You were 1 point up going to that last round. Before the tie break, there were other points available. Big red things. I think, Charlotte, did you get Clifford the Big Red Dog? Did you have that preloaded as soon as it came up? Yeah.
Waiting for Clifford.
He's coming. He's coming.
You got Mars as well, didn't you?
Did I? Maybe. To rely on others.
It's blanked it. The PTSD has blanked that whole round out. It's but it was just a good round. I guess because we covered it off at the start. One thing I'm really interested in, Ben, you were saying about you were staring at a table for 10-15 minutes. What was Stanley doing? Because if I'd have been in there, I would probably have been trying to make uneasy conversation with the other captain and sharing a bit of gallows humour. But was there anything like that going on?
No, I don't think so. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. He was probably doing the same as me. I was just trying to just stay as calm as possible. I don't know. I honestly can't remember. Probably the same. It was just,
Well, I mean, it was a wonderful match. I've been longing in a kind of sort of Schadenfreude kind of way for a tie break, because I love an only connect tie break. Now there's no danger of me being in one. So well done, Ben, on getting through that. I immediately said skin of my teeth, so I would have buzzed in and lost.
Yeah, so that was the thing, right? So because obviously you've got to go through it pretty quickly, and I did. And I'd spotted what it was, and then that was the check I did in my head while she said Suncatchers, because that was the one thing I'd seen, like skin of teeth. I'm like, right, let's go for it, skin of your teeth. And then, I just wanted to check that it wasn't skin of my teeth or skin of one's teeth. And so I remember checking that in the moment. And luckily I'd gone right.
Good job you did. Well, Charlotte, Ben, you live to fight another day. semi-finals. So we
2 days. You got
3
2
days
left.
Yeah, true.
So we look forward to chatting to you again. We are going to have to move on and talk University Challenge. But thanks so much for coming on. That's been a lovely
Thank you.
chat. Lovely chat. A lovely tree, Charlotte. So thanks for sharing that
Thank you.
with us. So we appreciate that.
Artfully composed in the frame.
Indeed. No, better that way. Yeah. So yes, we are going to play just a couple of videos. When we come back, we will be chatting University Challenge. So yeah, thanks, and we'll see you again soon.
Yep.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Okay. They were brilliant, weren't they, Lewis?
So good.
Loved
They're
it.
lovely, lovely people.
Yeah.
I host, I
There's
think,
been
a
so
couple
much
of
chat
games.
going on, and we haven't been able to keep up
No.
with it because we are
We're
trying
running through.
to keep it going. Now we have from University Challenge, from the Edinburgh team, we've got Arun. Hi, Arun. Thanks for coming on.
How you doing?
Very, very good. Now, your team absolutely treated us in your previous round. 320 points.
320, yeah.
I mean, tonight was
Not our day. Not our day.
Hamill brought it up at the end. This is the cruelty of University Challenge and a buzzer quizzing.
Just
You
buzzer
can-
quiz in general,
you can
really.
know exactly the same as the opposition. And if they're a fraction of a second,
Like half a
faster than
second, 1 second earlier. Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
makes-
it comes down to buzzer races, and we won a couple of buzzer races. We lost quite a lot more buzzer races, I think. Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky. Realistically, looking at the scores, you got off to a nice start. Peaked kind of really with the first
Yeah.
one.
Was
You were
the
in the lead.
first starter, yeah.
Yeah, first starter, and then you would never manage to get yourselves into the lead. You
No,
kind of
no.
kept it close for a while, but what you did give us was some lovely moments during the show, and I do have to say the Judas Priest celebratory.
Oh, that's Matt McGovern's whole thing. That's his thing. As soon as he's getting Judas Priest, we're all thinking, was this some metal thing? And then I'm all going, you're now going to hear 3 more metal songs. All 3 of us, me, Francis, and Stafford, just turn to him. We're setting this one out. This is just yours.
That must have made his life, when
It
the thing you love comes up.
Because in the interview we had, you say what bonus topic you want to hear, and I can't remember what we said. McGovern definitely said, "Yeah, we want some. I would really love some heavy metal bonuses." Turn up in the edition in some heavy metal merch, I think. We're all looking going, "What are you asking for metal? What are you doing?" And then we get to that, I suppose.
It was great. That's the sort of bonus setting question where that people are going to go crazy for it online. People are going to be so excited to see it and have that. There's in quizzing. There's certain people, your Tom Meads, who are obsessed with this sort of thing, and to finally see that music represented. Like, I can't remember questions like that on this for a long,
great.
time. It was just so refreshing to see. It was great fun, and he smashed that. It was beautiful.
He did. He really did. Yeah.
I think we've got a bit of a fan club in the chat. We've got Arun. Aaron's room isn't usually that cluttered.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I don't even understand this one, but I trust Jack to not become totally inappropriate. Is that Euro Thrifter, Aaron?
What's that? Cockle name. That's
it's your Cockle team. Oh,
it's the Europhiles from Series 9. It's the Thrifters from the current series, and me.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I see that this is the disadvantage of me not playing Cockle. I don't get to see some of these teams.
You should. It's great. Everyone should.
It's good fun, yeah.
It's really good.
I probably ought to find a team for next time round.
Yeah, you should.
Really. And that's an original Rothko behind him. I mean, Aaron, you come on every week just for the battles.
Okay.
That's great. No, that's we should really probably talk about the show.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
From your perspective, when you've gone into an episode off the back of a huge score, and you hear at the start the other team kind of scrape through, do you give that any mind or any significance whatsoever, or is it new game,
new game, new team, entirely new set of questions? We'd filmed that one it would have been a month after we filmed our round one match, so it's just getting used to the set again, getting used to ammo, getting used to everything again, and then just answer the questions.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Were you put off by the fact that when you first filmed, he had this huge monitor on his desk, but by the time you went back, it had gone to an itty bitty monitor?
Wait, I genuinely never noticed the monitor on the first episode. No, genuinely didn't notice it. No, because I saw from we're talking to monitors. We saw the monitors in makeup. We saw the previous game the first time we were there, and we saw the desks were really, really high. And so we were sort of prepped for having quite a high desk. So we just gave it no more thought, really.
Yeah, well, there you go. Matt Barr says, I'm just here for the reinforced concrete content. That was a hard question.
That was a very hard question, yeah.
Hey, Lewis, you shouldn't be worried, but Arun for New All Things Quiz co-host, Soz Lewis.
I'm so tired. Anytime. Just come on now. Come on, hop on.
Sorry, Lewis.
You got off to a good start with Crete. You didn't manage to convert. With your first buzz, you didn't manage to convert any bonuses thereafter. Then,
annoyingly, as soon as the answer was revealed as Crete, I was thinking, they're going to ask about Arthur Evans. What is his name? What is his name?
Yes.
I'm getting as far as Arthur. I can't for the life of me remember his surname.
I see you fighting for it.
Yeah.
That is one of those
throughout bonus 2 and 3.
Yeah. And we saw a few bits like that in the show. So there was you not being able to get from Arthur to Arthur Evans.
Yeah.
There was what's his name? Grady, trying to think of an author that began with D, and you could see him struggling and not quite getting there. The best moment, of course, was Sana Hadira not being able to remember the surname Grady.
Oh, that's good.
Because it was like how it's like giving the first name and then realizing his surname, and it's like, oh no, I quite enjoyed that moment. But when you're in the studio like that, and the pressure's on and the lights are on,
entirely understandable you do that.
Yeah. Were there any of their buzzes that you really kind of kicked yourself that you or teammates didn't get in on?
The waltz one, yeah.
Right.
I was watching it back, just going, why are you not buzzing? It said rotation and dance. It must be waltz buzz. And then something else came, and there was a however many person buzzer race in it, and they won it.
So there's this internal dialogue going on of, I think it's that. Yeah,
always in buzzer quiz. Always in buzzer quiz.
Yeah. So how do you break yourself out of that to actually then go buzz? At an early enough point that you actually get in.
What you do if you're me is you look at the score line and go, okay, we're gonna have to start getting some of these, and then just going straight in.
Yeah. Nothing focuses the mind quite like seeing scoreboard crap on you. But they were a good team.
They were a very good team.
So there's no two ways around it. Sana Hadira, their captain, got I think 5 starters. Coolman came in with some great buzzes as well.
All the medicine content he swept up.
Yeah, swept up. From your side of things, from your team, what was nice, and it's always nice, is when everybody on the team gets a buzz, because you all kind of feel like you've contributed. We heard Juice Priest. I thought Polk was a really, really good
Polk was a very good
answer. It's one of these things where everybody remembers kind of the Louisiana Purchase and the Gadsden Purchase and stuff like that. But Polk is not one of those.
But having that not stated but described, because you've then got the jump of, okay, this is Louisiana Purchase, who is president then? Yeah. And then jump to Polk.
Yeah. So that was a really good buzz from Matt. T'other Matt, getting the Mayans from that map, that picture, which I really like that picture picture round. I thought that
was
was
nice.
That played into their hands very, very well.
Yeah. When you were selecting your team, does everybody have a kind of specific kind of patch where you said you turned to Matt McGowan when it was the heavy metal, but for the others, was there something where everybody would automatically turn their heads at that person?
Basically, yeah. We so McGovern, Stafford, and I were all in Edinburgh Quiz Society and had been for quite some time, and we met Francis at the trials. And then from then, we'd quiz together quite a lot, went to various pub quizzes together, lots of UC prep. And by then, you get a very good idea of what everyone knows. So I know anything sort of arts and cultural, okay, it's Francis we turn to, any classical music, sort of literature stuff, poetry, Francis, geography, 100% Stafford. Anything sort of history-based, Stafford and McGovern. And then I sort of just pick up odds and ends stuff, really. So science is what I'm technically down as, I suppose.
And you did get a science bonus. It was coming. People were talking about it with Only Connect. Chris said there's a word for nail biting, but I've forgotten it already. Claire,
that's it. Yeah,
yeah. There we go. But that was one of your buzzes, and that was. It felt like your strengths with those two buzzes was kind of almost the lateral thinking or the working out rather than necessarily.
That's much more my thing really than sort of straight question answer. I enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching Only Connect before University Challenges comes on.
Yeah, I mean, and you play Cockle, so does this mean that we can expect to see you forming a team for Only Connect at some point?
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh, this sounds like my application's in and I don't think I could talk about it kind of yet. Right, we know we've spoken to enough people. So we know that. So yes, Manchester, very good team. One of the things that again I like, they've got a nice sense of humour. Did you get to kind of get much of a sense of them as people rather than just as
we did. We went for a drink after the show with them, which was very nice.
Yeah.
In one of the sort of it was sort of like akin to a beer garden thing outside Salford Quays. Very nice. Very nice people. Yeah.
They did come across like that way when there was
nice.
that picture round looking at constellations, the kind of that gallows humor. Are any of these constellations we've heard of? It was kind of that.
Because what happened is Amol reads the question and then the picture appears. So you're going to see a picture of a constellation. And I'm immediately thinking, okay, it's going to be like a night sky. It's going to be a recognizable thing. Then the picture appears. Then when none of us are thinking, what constellation is that? We're going, where's the constellation in that? And just sort of looking around the photo, not able to find the constellation.
Yeah, which I can imagine is a bit of a struggle. And then you're trying to interpret the picture rather than the constellation. The other comment they made, I think it was when they were doing the feminist thing, and somebody said, I'm a really bad queer person. Which was it's like, no, don't feel bad about not getting this stuff under pressure. And the final thing that came to mind was one of them, I think, got away as a bonus, as a mass bonus of giving 1 as the answer.
I was thinking when it said what number, I was thinking it's going to be 1. It's going to be 1. It's going to be 1. He does maths. Let's get him to confirm it, but it's going to be 1. So be primed to say 1.
Yeah,
it's 1. 1. Direct 1. It's 1.
And it was 1.
It was 1, yeah.
Lewis, anything jump out to you from the
episode? I thought it was a really good episode. It was one of those ones where when the score came up at the end, I was like, it didn't feel that distant to me. It felt like, you coming in so many good.
It felt more distant to us in the studio.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah, no, it just felt like I was. Sometimes it's just the faces.
Yeah.
And you're getting you feel like it's a balance of faces. I felt like I was getting as much time with you guys as I was with them. But I thought it was a great set. We already talked about those heavy metal questions. I loved the questions on the England footballers. I thought that was a lovely set. I liked the time loop games questions were fantastic.
They were fun.
Yeah, Outer Wilds is great. I recommend it to everyone. There was some really nice mix of content tonight. I thought. And it was another great episode. Yeah, I'm sorry to see you guys go because you've been so entertaining. But yeah, as Gareth said, it's such a brutal format, particularly in the second round.
The second round, particularly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's shaping up to be one hell of a competition. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, what's your takeaway from the University Challenge experience? What's the overall feeling that it leaves you with?
Buzzmore.
Buzzmore. Okay.
Always a good rule.
Always buzz.
Yeah, always buzz.
Excellent. And have you done Buzzer Quiz since then?
Yeah, we've done a fair amount of quiz ball stuff within the UQS. Yeah.
Well, I hope you do buzz more and get that kind of.
Get on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Buzz more.
Buzz more. That's a good idea, Gareth. Put it in the
store. Put that in the All Things Quiz store.
Like a choose life, but buzz more.
Buzz more, yeah. Keep calm and buzz more.
Keep calm and buzz more. Just the ideas coming. You don't get any royalties, so Aaron. That's the thing. Thanks so much for coming on, Aaron. Really appreciate it. We don't always get people who've lost shows coming on, but it's been an absolute delight having you. And best of luck should you find yourself on a different quiz at some point in the time.
Thank you very much.
Cool. We are going to play a short video, and then Aaron, you are free to stick around, or you can click leave studio whilst we do that. And then we'll be back and we'll talk about Mastermind, the Mastermind predictions competition, and Quiz Week, and the news from the world of quiz. Thanks, Aaron. Cheers.
Right.
There's so much going on in the quiz world, it can be really hard to keep on top of it all. Let us do it for you with the All Things Quiz newsletter. News from All Things Quiz and from the wider world of quiz delivered to your inbox every Tuesday. Sign up at allthingsquiz.com or scan this QR code. So, Mastermind, we are, I should say, with that newsletter, do sign up. We have some exclusives that we don't necessarily always cover here. And we'll be giving links to all sorts of things like the Live 8 that OQL are doing next year, and information about their live event in July. So, Mastermind, the prediction competition. These were the most popular guesses. Poetry of Caroline Duffy. We had Havisham, Last Post, Rapture, and Rings. Looking at Valerie, nobody got any of those, or those ones didn't come up. And League of Gentlemen, Creme Brulee, Hadfield, that did come up. Jeremy Dyson, Royston Vasey, they didn't come up. Nigel Mansell, Lotus, Mallory Park, Newman House, Surfers Paradise came up, didn't it? And Rene Magritte, Apple, Emir, Golconda, Renoir, The Treachery of, I can't actually see, Treachery of, then anyway, none of those came up. What did you make of the subjects, first and foremost?
Good. Good mix. I think it's a really nice mix, isn't it? There's no two things like there. Nice mix of the arts and the pop culture stuff. I thought they all played reasonably well. It was a nice range. Graham on Nigel Mansell was incredible.
Really good,
yeah, maybe one of the best that we've seen on series.
It's all 13 from 13, yeah.
Yeah, incredible work on a man with a big career and a varied career across motorsport. So a lot to learn. Obviously felt very much for Kimia, who seemed to really struggle, particularly on her Caroline Duffy. I think she held it together quite well, considering she was still throwing answers out for everything, which was really, really good to see. But
because if that happens, you see people just get into a past spiral, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, it really didn't. You're right. It was. In fact, was there a single pass from any contestant?
No,
no passes, which was great. There was a bit of level-headedness. That was good to see. Good to see answers being thrown out there. There was just bad luck, I think, for Kimia. But everyone, 7s and 8s on the other two subjects, really, really good. It was a nice mix. I love the League of Gentlemen, so I was happy to see that come up.
Yeah, Sharon was doing well, and then kind of towards the end, it just fell apart a bit. But she looked like she was on for a decent score.
But still confident answers, right? And that's
Yeah,
the thing. Yeah, so important.
And she
Again,
looked like
I don't think that was losing focus either. I think that was just a run of questions she didn't know the answer to.
I think I'm totally right, Aaron. But yeah, she was throwing stuff out there, which is, I think, such the important thing.
Yeah. So she did well, but it was Graham who, with his 13, and you think 13 plays 8, plays 7, plays 4. We know who's winning here.
Yeah.
And somebody may have preemptively kind of tweeted about that and may have predicted that, it looks like it's only going to be him to win from there, and how wrong I was. Before we do talk about the second round, let's just have a look at how people scored. Tim Hall, the last year's superb, best predictor, he got 6 points tonight. He cleaned up, what was it, Nigel Mansell? He got 6 points on Nigel Mansell. A clutch of people, including the league leader, Ed Mason, got 3 points. And others, Pammy got 2, Yi got 2, David Taylor, Steve in the chat got 3, which means that the leaderboard now looks like this. Ed Mason stretched his lead 38 over Philip Isaac. Pam is on her own in 3rd. Tim Hall, though, is on the rise. So all of these, the full league table will be published on our website, and we'll have a link to it in the newsletter tomorrow. Next week's topics are Bridget Riley, Winter Olympics 2002 to 2022, the sitcoms of Peter Kay, and History of St Albans. So if you do want to play along, give yourself a bit of interest in that first round, then you've got the address to do so there, tinyurl.com/mm-predict-23. Let me remove that so we can see you all in your glory. So obviously it was Graham's to lose, and as it happened, you start off with the lowest scorers, and Kimmy, she did a little bit better, 6. She got a couple of nice answers, particularly towards the end, but I think the thing to remember with Mastermind is it takes a lot of guts to even put yourself up to be in that chair, to be focus of attention, to be potentially the person that gets ripped apart on social media, etc. And I don't know whether that was Kimmy at her best. I suspect perhaps not. I suspect she will come back and do better next time, and I hope she does. Because there were some great answers in there, which to me hints at better times ahead. Matthew Harper, he's another one. Quizzing gives me a buzz. Claire.
It's good stuff.
Matthew, who had done Magritte 7, I felt that this was a potential heat winner had he not stumbled in his specialist subject. Because 13 in general knowledge,
really good.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, really good stuff.
And again, he got some good answers, and he avoided. When Andropov was the answer, he could have gone Chenyenko because who remembers which one was which way round.
It was a good level up.
Yeah,
from the average.
So he was good, and then we had Graham, who with his 13 points was in. Oh no, it wasn't Graham, was it? Sorry, it was Sharon.
Yeah, she was there, and smashed it. 16.
16.
Yeah,
huge,
phenomenal.
Yeah. And in a way, I feel that if that buzzer hadn't gone when it did, she would probably have got Armageddon. It felt like that threw her a little bit. She could have got 17 on it, but that's 16. As soon as you see she's hit 24 points, it's like, wow. Now that as soon as when you have to get double figures to win in general knowledge, that puts a degree of pressure on.
It does.
When you've got to get 12, I think. For Graham, you're in a match. She did phenomenally well.
She was fantastic. Yeah,
it was amazing. One of the best GK performances we've seen in a while.
If she can get a specialist subject nailed as well as she nailed that general knowledge in the semi-final, she's a potential finalist. And she looked like she got the calmness. I mean, Aaron, you must know, from your time on UC and whatever, the value of being calm in a tense situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just
it's just not losing focus. And to our credit on UC, I think that's one of the things we did do quite well. is just we remain fairly level-headed throughout, and you've just got to be like that on Mastermind. I mean, you saw that you see people getting the first few ones wrong, and then just passing, getting stuff wrong, and they just get inside their heads a lot. Didn't happen to Shannon.
Yeah,
just remained strong.
The other thing, Lewis, that she didn't do, the ones where you could zig or zag, yin or yang, she went the right way pretty much every time.
Yeah, it fell through.
And I like that. So she didn't make silly mistakes. I also like the joy she took in her answering when she answered Strawbridge for Dick and Angel Strawbridge or the Jonas Brothers. She was enjoying playing the game, and that is so nice to see. And Paul Graham, I think the difference between the two of them was when there were those choices, he was going the wrong way. Sometimes that's how it felt to me.
Yeah,
I get that.
Do you think there was a difficulty and difference between the two sets of general knowledge?
Looking at my numbers, no, I scored 15 on both. So yeah, reasonably even. Yeah, you're right. I think it can just be that little thing, can't it? It can be these two answers sound right, and you just happen to go for the wrong one.
Yeah,
I think it can just fall on those little things.
You've got days when all your 50-50s work, and you get days when all your 50-50s go wrong.
Yes, and those are my least favorite days. I hate those. Yeah. I think I had one earlier in the OQL season this season where I think I had 4 50-50s in my head go wrong, and ended up with like 3. It's like, why is it? But yeah, right. It just will happen.
It just happens. You get it.
It's not muddled thinking. It's just you're in the area. You've got a couple good ideas. So much of good quizzing is good guessing. Yeah, and you just fall the wrong way. It's bad luck. But those days, hopefully, statistically, won't always happen.
Yeah, I think looking at his set, Scissor G, you either know or you don't. Connie Francis.
But he said apogee or something, didn't he? So he was clearly in the
sort of was nearly right.
Yeah, he was like in the sort of sounds, in the meanings. It was such a close answer for that. I think the one that really was it the early one where it was like
glove, was it?
Yeah, it was like foot socks, hand socks or something.
Yeah.
And he didn't get that, and that's probably the moment we think.
And you wonder how much that sort of threw him in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's an early question, as your sort of give me easy one early on. Yeah,
and he stumbled over zoology. It was just one of those things where if you pick those off, you get on a roll, and the momentum's with you, and then kind of the pressure's a little bit off, and you get the inspiration. There were tricky ones. Nickel could have been tricky. I know that Richard III was born in Fotheringay Castle. Fotheringay's in Northamptonshire. You know those things if you're born there.
You don't know about that.
But I think some people, that is tricky. Do people know where monarchs are born? That wasn't necessarily easy. So I think
I'd have been guessing on the year more.
I was guessing on the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think buying yourself that ability to be calm by getting those early answers right would have helped. He missed by 1. I think he will be kicking himself. But I also think that this is a guy who should come back because the way he nailed his specialist subject, calmly, quickly answering, brilliant performance.
Yeah, if you're getting 13 in your specialist subject, you should be coming back
on any subject.
Absolutely.
You've got to imagine he's a fan, obviously, and it's something he enjoys. But to go that deep and across all of it, that shows that he's got the technique. The preparation that you need to win this show. So
and he's won. So we've seen Heat's won with 18 points this year. So he's 23. If there were high scoring runners up, then he would have been in contention.
It's a really unfair show.
It's a really, really unfair format. I've said this for a long, long time.
Yeah. I think it's part of it now. We can't change it. We're deep into it now.
We're deep into it. All you can do is just stay at home and complain.
Yeah, and I will.
And boy, do we enjoy doing that. Well, let us move on to look at news from the world of quiz from the week just gone. So, winner of Quiz of the Week last week was Jasmine Leonas, who's got to the final of Pop Solos in America, the first woman to get to the Tier 1 final. She got a hefty vote this week. She's a very popular person. Second, another American, Scott Blish, who is doing well in the International Culture Challenge. I think he got full house last week. And a third, Ed Dovey of I think he's Quiz League of London. I don't know if that was for QLL, but he came third. Lovely guy, Ed. So well done to all three of those. Team of the week, Isotopes from Only Connect were first. University College London was second for Team of the Week, and Fit for Purpose from Quiz League of London were third. So well done to all of those. These are the nominees for this week. The German regional championships have finally
the big one, the
come
one we'll
to an
get about.
end. So Central Germany, Schleswig-Holstein had their championships on the weekend. Stefan Löw and Markus Müller were the individual champions there. In broadcast quizzing, we saw him earlier. Dan Adler was the Brain of Britain winner. I forgot to put in Sharon Chambers' name, but she won Mastermind.
Yeah.
We've got Li Chao Fan, who won episode 10 of the Chinese National Treasures quiz, the one they all want to win over in China. In quiz leagues, two people in Quiz League London got 7 out of 8. Paul Sinha and Phil Small, one unto them. John Stitcher, he of only online Quiz League fame. He got his first ever Quiz League full house in the World Quiz League last week. After 10 years of playing.
He's not a talented quizzer. He is not talented. So that's really massive. I assume he had a question on Brian Adams. And he lucked out on it. But, well done to him.
He's an absolutely lovely guy, though. So very pleased for him. Well done, John, getting that full house. Getting that monkey off your back. You'll probably have another one in a couple of weeks' time now. Pat Gibson won the Quest Grand Prix again. I think he's probably won every one this year. Who will stop him? Well, probably Evan Lynch or Sean Webb came second.
Yeah, he's incredible from Sean.
Yeah, he's really in a rich vein of form. But it's Pat who took the honours this time round. In the International Culture Challenge, there were 4 players who got 14 out of 15. Dylan Minerick, Evan Lynch, Andrew Ulsberger, and Owen O'Reilly. One to them. And talking of OQL people who got full houses, Steve Bonneman, full house in OQL John Jacob Cup. So both of the head honchos of OQL got full houses in the same week. It's like buses. Well done for them. You can vote tinyurl.com/QW04deck23 if you want to vote for those. Voting is open now. Team of the week. Asia Pacific Quizzing Championships happened in Colombo, Sri Lanka over the weekend. And India won the team championship. So congratulations to them. I'm trying to remember who was second. I think it was Malaysia second, Australia third. In the German regional championship, Stefan Löw and Christian Franz won Central Germany pairs. Fragenkombinat Schwarzer Pump, which means question combination black pump. According to Facebook's Translate, they won Central Germany's team championship. Markus Müller and Sven Andresen won the Schleswig-Holstein pairs championship. In broadcast quizzing, we saw it tonight. Suncatchers won Only Connect. Manchester University won University Challenge. And Quiz League performances, Common People beat Quiz League of London's Division 4A leaders by 12 points. Big win. Not as big as 24 Hours from Tulse Hill, who got a 22-point win in the OQL John Jacob Cup. The cup is handicapped, so teams, even from different divisions, should score broadly the same if they play to form. So 22-point win is huge. And then Borussia Mountains below. That's a translation from the Portuguese, because if I'm bad at the German, I'm even worse at the Portuguese. They won. They got the top score in Quiz Nations Portugal. So well done to them. And here's a special shout out. You'll all be familiar with this name out there. Oh no, hang on. This is sign-ups. So Arcadia Quiz Bolton won at 9th of December in London. Also, that's this weekend. Quiz in the North, 9th of December, Wakefield. Pop Culture Challenge starts 29th of January. Sign-ups are open now. Chinese Poetry Quiz, if you're living in China and speak one of the Chinese languages, Mandarin, or I don't know. I don't even know which language they play it in. Anyway, you'll know it. There's a QR code there to scan if you want to play it. And OQL Live 8 is there. So find out about those. But there is a shout out here, and it's thrilling. Apparently, there is a band called SNH48, which is a Chinese girl group, very popular in Mando pop. And Duan Yixuan, apparently, last week, played questions from the International Quizzing Championships. So well done to Duan. Fantastic bravery. Apparently, according to Yi, who nominated her for the shout-out, she got barely anything right. But it's giving it a go.
Yeah,
somebody from a pop pop band, giving it a go, and well done to her. So that is our nominations for this week. Again, tinyurl.com/QW04deck23. And you can nominate people as people do at tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations. That is it for this week. Bearing in mind how much we've had to talk about, we've not done badly.
Done all right.
We are a little bit over.
We've done better than we have
timing.
other times, and that's what we
yeah, it's not the worst. Thank you so much to everybody who's been in the chatting away. Sorry we haven't brought on more of your comments, but we've had a lot to talk about. If you haven't already liked the video and subscribed to the channel, then please do so. We are perilously close to getting to 2,000 subscribers by Christmas. See, give me that Christmas present I'm craving. Thanks to Dan Adler for... Hang on. She didn't get anything right, but I don't see Harry Styles trying it. Well, there you go, Harry. That's the challenge.
That's the spirit, yeah.
Sam says thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome, Sam. You're welcome.
Thanks. So thanks to Aaron for coming on, talking about University Challenge, just generally chatting and having a laugh with us. Thanks to, is it Ben and Charlotte, was it, earlier from Only Connect? And thanks to Dan Adler, the new brain of Britain, for coming on and chatting to us. We will be back next week. Don't forget to vote for In What Is the Question. Don't forget to vote for Quizzer and Team of the Week. And don't forget lunchtime quiz time every day. And most of all, don't forget to nominate people, organizations, teams for World Quiz Awards. You have one more week to get your nominations in before the serious job starts of trying to bring together the shortlist. Until next week, Claire sums it up. Night all. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you again soon. Thanks and goodbye.
Bye.
Cheers.